Kruise, and I'm so pleased to be here today on August 19th, 2009, to interview Swea Moffett. And Swea has generously given us her afternoon. And Swea, I would like to first ask you, who were your parents and what did they do for a living?
Well, my mother, when she came to this country, all she knew was how to bake, so she ended up at Calumet Bakery in Omaha, she and two of her sisters, and she had an aunt that sent her money to come to America. So that was my mother. Well, my dad, he ended up in Minnesota with a friend, and he tried to learn, get some jobs there and everything, and the fellow that he was working with, he said, "I'm going to let you go, Chris. I can't understand a word you say. You're going to go." So that made Dad without a job. So he decided, he had a friend down in Omaha, so he went down to Omaha, and he got a job there. My father, he was very well trained in the building field, but a builder. So anyway, he put down there, and then the folks lived, let's see, when they were married, I can't recall the day they were married. Well, anyway, when they had moved away, and they lived in Gurley, and I went to school there, and I couldn't speak English. I spoke Swedish all the time, and they were getting very discouraged. And so finally they got somebody that helped, got me so I could. And this part of my mother, she would take my little primer book and she'd read with me, try to learn English too at the same time. And it was so cute. And then, and the same thing is, we had the first Model T Ford. And my dad bought it, and he brought it up to the place. And he said, "What's that?" Father says, "Dad won't know it. I think I can drive it." So he drove around the block, and there's three little girls, because we were three sisters. He says, "Well, don't worry. We'll go around the block, and if I can make it, you can ride with me." So she drove around the block, and the second time she came around, she picked us up and went with her, and we was thrilled to death to just ride in that Model T Ford. Well, then in later years, in school and everything, high school and everything, I thought you know that my father, he built a beautiful new home there in Gurley. It was a 3-bedroom home, and he had the first bathroom in town. Nobody had a bathtub or a toilet. And the kids, my friends, and all had to come over to see what that toilet was like. It was something different, something new. So then we did that. Well,
Swea, what were your parents' names?
Well, my dad's name was Carl W. Christ.
Yes, and how about your mom?
Mother's name was Christina.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful name.
Yeah, Christina.
And did you know your grandparents?
What?
Did you know your grandparents?
I never did see my grandparents, but I traveled to Sweden, and I got to see their graves.
Oh, how nice.
So I did see that.
What brought your parents to Page County?
I think it was more accident than anything, because they had an aunt that lived in Omaha. Her name was Christina, too. Her name was Christina. She lived there, and she happened to have a little money, and she's the one that sent them money to come to this country, and then they paid her back, of course. So they come, and that's the way they did. And my father didn't meet my mother for several years. And they went to a Swedish dance one night. Both of them happened to be the same one. He met my mother there. It started a romance.
Well, and did they meet here in Page County, or did they meet in Omaha? Do you remember?
It was Omaha again. It was Omaha.
And where were they married?
Dad, that's something I can't tell you.
That's all right.
I never did hear Mother say where they were married.
Well, when and where were you born?
I was born in Plattsmouth.
Were you born in Plattsmouth?
Yeah, I know that.
And you know when?
August the 3rd, 1911.
There you go. There you go. And you have two sisters?
Yes, I'm the oldest of 3 girls. So it was always the 3 Chris sisters. In Gurley, there was always the 3 there. When school and anything like that, it was the Carl Chris sisters, because of the 3 of us together.
And did you move to Shenandoah?
No, we moved to Sidney, Nebraska. That's where my family moved while I was in college, see. My freshman year at Midland College, my folks moved to, his business got so big he couldn't handle it in a small town, so he moved to Sidney, which was larger and a bigger bank. So he went there and got along fine. In fact, in time, he even bought one of the banks, started the bank there, but he sold the bank for the simple reason, he says, I don't know a darn thing about the thing. I think I better get rid of this while I can.
So he was a builder for most his life?
Yes, he built. I'm telling you, you can go around that countryside, practically every house or barn or anything my father has built.
How nice.
He just built just things all over.
So he left a legacy, didn't he?
Yes, he did. And he built, before he died several years, he built an apartment house. It's called Chris Apartment House in Sydney.
Oh.
So he got to there.
So did you attend school mainly in Gurley?
Yes, I graduated from Gurley in 1930.
Uh-huh. And do you remember when you were younger, any toys you played with or anything? I love your story about your little English book that your mom taught herself English from.
You're laughing. We didn't have much toys to play with or anything like that. But my dad, I don't know why with girls, we never got a bicycle or a tricycle. He always bought us a wagon. And there we pulled each other around in a wagon. And we finally found out that by going around where the garbage was and that, we could get cans been opened, you know.
Sure.
Why don't we have a grocery store? So we built mud pies and stuff and made a grocery store. And each of us would go get it. When Dad come home in the garage, he says, what's all this stuff all around here? He put an end to it.
Well, you had fun with what you had. Yes, yes. You had a good imagination too.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Do you remember any special birthdays?
Mine, you mean?
Yes, or your sisters?
Oh,
Is there any?
No, they were pretty much not together at the time birthdays. Seemed like they were in their own home or I was in my home.
When you were younger, when you were at home and your sisters were at home, did you celebrate birthdays or Christmas? Do you remember any special Christmases?
Christmas was something. My folks believed in Christmas, and we really had a big Christmas. And the church was the main thing. And I got this kind of cute. I got pictures of us three girls and my mother with the three girls. All three of us, every time, they were all dressed in organdy dresses or ruffles and stuff like, you know, because we went to church all the time.
Sure.
In fact, I played the organ for Sunday school there for several years before I went away to school at church.
So where did you go to school?
Midland College in Fremont. That's a Lutheran college.
Sure.
Yeah.
And did you have a good time at college?
Oh, did I?
Do you want to tell us about it? Did you meet anyone special while you were in college?
I tried different ones, I guess. With different fellows, some that you like and all this and that. And I think it was my second year when I was there, I met my husband. He was a blind date. He was going to one of the college dances or something. And he's going to take me. I didn't know. The reason why I take is it was during the Thanksgiving holiday. I wasn't going to go home real quick because my friend there, she said, Swea, don't go home yet because I have to stay here another day and I don't want to be in this place alone. I said, well, I can wait another day, so I'll wait another day to go home. So I went, then I waited and went home. And before that, I had this blind date with my husband, of course.
And what's your husband's name?
Donald Moffett. Of course, we all called him Bud.
Sure.
And we picked up dancing. Beautiful dancer, wonderful dancer. And everybody else, too, who could dance. Of course, I love to dance. I've had men tell me, Swea, you were the best dancer I ever had. Because I loved to dance. I really did. And I got acquainted that way through some different friends.
So you guys went to dances. Did you do anything else fun for your dates?
We even went to some big dances in Omaha.
Oh.
Different friends.
Did you ever see anyone that's famous?
I danced with, what's this one that has a TV show?
Lawrence Welk?
Lawrence Welk. I danced with him.
No.
Yes, I danced around the floor with him.
Oh, Swea.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That was something to come back and tell the girls. That's what I danced with.
Yeah.
I'll bet.
It was great.
So did you end up marrying this Mr. Moffett?
Yes, I did. I did.
And where did you get married? In Sydney or
No,
Gurley
I didn't. My folks didn't even know I was getting married. That's what was good about it.
Swea, did you elope?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My husband wanted to get married, and I said, oh, no, I've got to finish school here yet. He said, you can finish. I'll let you finish. So anyway, we got married, and some of our friends went with us. It's a little town in Nebraska, and I can't remember the name of it.
Somewhere around the Midland College?
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, it wasn't that close because I didn't want anybody to know I was married.
Oh, sure,
I was
sure.
going to keep it a secret until Christmas.
And did you manage
We
to?
sure did. So when the World Herald paper came out that morning, there was my picture from Midland College student that's going to be in our choral group, you know, singing, was married, so-and-so. It was in there, so they all found out. Well, anyway,
How did your parents react?
well, they met him that summer when he came home to visit me.
Uh-huh.
So they were very kind, very good.
Good.
Yeah, very good.
Oh, good.
I liked them. They had to like them.
Sure, there you go. Would you remember anything special that you did? Did you go to movies, or do you remember the names of any movies or books that you maybe read that were fun at the time?
Oh, I read a lot of different books, but I'm not much of a reader.
Sure.
I'm more of a listener. I like music and stuff like that.
Swea, did you paint when you were
Oh,
younger?
yes, I took paint lessons, and well, my picture's right there on the wall. Yeah,
It's
I paint.
beautiful. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
I learned paint. I just love to paint. But as soon as I get a picture painted, somebody in my family would get the picture, and I wouldn't have a picture.
Well, that one's beautiful
And I even
too.
took these pillows, you know, these big pillows, and painted flowers on them. They were as pretty as they could be, and so I'm so happy. My granddaughter has got a couple of those pickles.
Oh, good. Pillows, sure. Well, how nice. Well, you do a beautiful job. Yes.
Thank
And
you.
just for the record, I've tried to get you several times to display at the hospital. And you never have enough paintings because your family takes them as soon as you finish them.
They did.
Swea, did you travel around during the
Yes.
Depression,
Yes.
especially?
No, my Lavon Van Busker, she lost her husband, and I lost mine. So we decided, let's travel. So we traveled Europe. We traveled the Canadian Islands. We traveled all over, the two of us. We had a wonderful time.
I'm pleased for you. Do you remember anything especially about the weather in the 1930s? Do you remember the heat of the 36?
Yes, I will remember that because I was a small girl. I don't know, but I'd have to be at least 5 or 6 years old. And we lived in that first little home there in Gurley. We had a tornado. It was just terrible. And my mother, she was scared to death. And I was the brave one. I wasn't going to be scared. And she had given us pillows to hold on to and everything like that. The first thing, the front porch went down and closed off the doors. You couldn't get out, you know. She was just scared to death. That's the only bad thing I ever remember.
Do you remember anything about the Dust Bowl?
Dust Bowl?
The Dust Bowl, yes.
Yeah, we've had that, yes. That was bad. And everything in your house got dirty.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Did that affect anything with your family?
What?
Did the Dust Bowl affect anything in your family?
No, not especially. No.
And how about the Depression years? Do you remember anything?
Well, I'll have to tell you,
Please.
I didn't know there was a depression until after I got married. That's when I found out. And his father was manager of the Plumfield Nursery there in Fremont, Nebraska. And that was a part of the Welch Nursery here in Shenandoah. He was there, and so Dad had that. So he'd have to go out on the road and get somebody to help him collect, because people just didn't have money to pay their bills. And so I was so happy because, see, he'd go to Denver, and I lived in Sydney, so sometimes I'd get to go with him and get to see my family.
Oh.
That would just thrill me to death.
Sure.
So I did that.
And is that how you ended up here in Shenandoah?
What?
Was it the nursery connection that brought you to Shenandoah?
Yes, E.S. Welch, the man that boss all here, he wanted Don to come to Shenandoah in the office. He thought Don was really what he wanted him in the office.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when we moved here to Shenandoah.
Was that sometime in the mid-30s or?
Well, to see, Donnie was a year old, and he was born in 1936. So that'd have to be around 1937.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We moved, and of course, the scarcity of houses, there was no place to live. We didn't. So when Arbor went and bought a house that they had on their farms, brought it in, hauled it in, had it all painted and cleaned inside and everything, so it looked real nice. But they moved it on the worst street in Shenandoah, Wabash Road, Wabash. And I wasn't used to being around people that didn't go to church and stuff like that. It was really hard on me at first, but I finally got used to it because we kept on looking for a house all the time. We finally got out there after 2 years.
I see. And then did you live in Shenandoah for the
I've
rest
been
of
there
your
ever
life?
since. I've been there ever since.
Do you happen to remember one of or any of Roosevelt's inaugurations?
Roosevelt?
Yes.
Just what I heard on the radio. Yeah.
And how did your family react when he was elected?
Well, it's funny, my dad was a Democrat to start with. And I think it was Roosevelt that when he changed and went to become a Republican. He changed that. Of course, I was too young. I didn't know much about it.
Sure. Do you remember any of Roosevelt's projects or anything?
Not especially, no.
Okay, all right. When you were living here in Shenandoah in the late 30s and early 40s, was there any crime in Shenandoah?
Was what?
Was there any crime in Shenandoah or Page County?
I can't recall that there was. I really don't.
When you think of one thing from the Depression era, what do you think of?
When Bud and I, we thought we'd make some money. We didn't have that much money. Oh, yeah, I got to tell you both times.
Please do.
It so happened, you see, that his father felt that Don could do without his salary because we stayed with his mother and dad. We lived with them first because she planned on going to California and leave Dad with us. So that was the arrangement. Well, anyway, so, see, I was telling you.
The one thing you think of from the Depression.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so we thought we'd find some way to get money. Dad says, listen, Don, or Bud, why don't you and Swea Sunday put some old clothes on and stuff, get out there underneath the bridge and get those seedlings. There's just gobs of seedlings, and the nursery can use them and plant them. So he and I that Sunday went out there, and I think we must have got 200 seedlings, and we were dead. But boy, we got some money for doing that.
Well, good for you.
That's the only thing Depression really.
That's a significant memory.
Yeah, we did.
Swea, did you work for the nursery then too?
Honey, I've never worked. Don just didn't. I don't know. I just didn't.
And how many children do you have?
2. Don Senior, Don Junior, who's in California, and Jodale Irvin is here in Shenandoah.
And I believe Don still does very nice things for Shenandoah.
Oh, he just
helps
loves
with-
Shenandoah. He'll do anything. He's given quite a few things to Shenandoah.
Yes, he has.
He really has.
And Jodale's a lovely woman also.
Yes, she is. Yes.
Yes.
She has helped do many things.
Swea, just back to the weather in the 30s. I've always been a little fascinated by that. Do you remember the snow of 36?
I remember. We had gone home to visit my family for the holidays, and I tried to tell Dawn, I says, honey, when we're in this country, if you see any start of the snow, you start for home. You do not move. Oh, that's just, well, he says, we'll make it. Don't worry about that. So we started out, and I think we only got a mile out to Sydney. He'd lost his hat, and the wind was starting to slow in the snow. So it was terrible. He says, honey, I'm sorry, we can't go anymore. I said, I told you. So we headed back to Sydney, and you'd be surprised how much snow had fallen just that short time. And when my dad and mother saw us come back, they said, we knew you'd come back for seeing that because you were so determined, God was so determined he was going to go. So that was one of the storms, bad storm. In Sydney, that's the kind of storms they had. When it snowed, you left for home.
Sure.
Always.
Well, I guess maybe I have one last thing. There might be more from the other girls. But what advice do you have for people today that the best way to make it through hard times? Or do you have any advice for people?
Well, I think really the best thing is to live within your income. Live within your income. Too many of you try to borrow things and they can't make it. Do not try to do things too much. Stay within your income and plan things that way so that you know that you can make it. That'd be the best thing.
I think that's really good advice.
Good advice,
Yes.
yes.
I did just think of something else, Swea. Did you go see Gone with the Wind when it came out? Or Wizard of Oz? Did you go to the movies?
I saw, yeah.
Did you see them when they came out?
You
When
mean-
they first were released?
Oh, I was a kid then.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't remember where.
Where you saw them, but you saw them at the theater?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I have one question. Since you came from a Swedish background, what kind of food did you have at Christmas time?
Well,
It was a little different, wasn't it?
Lutefisk.
Yeah, lutefisk.
Lutefisk. My mother, oh, you know, it was kind of hard because my dad and mother and them, they just loved that. So when they came for their first Christmas to my house, we just had to have some. So Dad sent to Chicago to get that lutefisk so we'd have it when he was there. And my husband says, yeah, I heard the cats meowing all night long on the back porch.
Was your mom, since she worked for a bakery, I'll bet she was just a fabulous baker.
Mother was a wonderful cook.
I'll bet.
Yeah, because she worked for that bakery company. She and her two sisters, there's all three of them, they worked at the bakery.
So did she bake kringla and
Oh,
potato cakes?
everything,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Kroomkaka?
Yeah. And the nicest thing is that my Joe Dale's son, he just been on a trip with his wife and family into Chicago. And being my birthday, they went to a Swedish store and bought a whole bunch of Swedish stuff.
Oh.
Swedish cookies, Swedish pastry, and all that stuff. Here they come home with a big sack full of all this Swedish stuff. And nothing else I can do but give it to some of the the nurses and things.
You shared it. That was
but
nice.
Was it good?
Oh, good.
It was wonderful.
Well,
Yeah.
you had a lovely life, Swea.
Oh, I did. I thank God that I did have a lovely life.
Mhm.
I don't care about living this long, but that's not my saying. That's the
Well.
way he wants it, I guess.
Well, sure, but look what you've added to all, how you've touched our lives today.
Mhm.
So,
Yes.
is there anything else that you'd like to have on this?
After you leave, I'll perhaps think of
Oh, sure. You can
Always.
call us. You can call us. We'll put something else on it. But thank you again, Swea. You've just done a wonderful job. A
Thank you.
wonderful
I
job.
hope so.
You have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.